Hey everybody, it's Chuck. I decided to do a little impromptu um, live Q&A. I'm gonna send the word out on social media or whatever. But if you guys want to blast out on your various chat rooms and stuff, then you are more than welcome to. Uh, yeah, so gonna talk about some stuff. This won't be too long. Just a little update for you guys. I'm flying again tomorrow. I'm going to Chicago for a fundraising event, trying to raise some money to help out some guys that need it in the community. And decided I'd take this opportunity to catch up with you guys. So it looks like we got 6 people in here. That's pretty amazing considering this isn't advertised anywhere. But good to go. Very much good to go. Um, so, what do we have? We have 25th anniversary of Battle of the Black Sea. So I've been spending a lot of time today kind of reflecting on that, talking to my friends. Uh, 25 years is a long time. Uh, but it doesn't feel like a long time. It feels like yesterday to me. Time's so weird. It seemed so slow when I was younger. And now it's just like stupid fast. Uh, where was I on this day? So 25 years ago, I was getting ready to go to what is now known as the Warriors Leaders Course. It was back then it was known as the Primary Leaders Development Course, Primary Leadership Development Course, PLDC. Um, and we didn't really know because of the time differences or whatever. Uh, but Monday morning, October 4th, we had to go see the sergeant major because that was a requirement that you get out briefed because we had such a problem with Rangers attending the NCO Academy down at Fort Stupid. Um, they absolutely harassed us and treated us like complete shit. And we, for our part, um, tried to violate and break every rule that they had and still graduate. So it was 100% complete contempt for their program. So we did things like all the Rangers ran in a squad formation and sang cadence for the PT test, stuff like that, just to piss them off. So anyway, Sergeant Major was giving us the "Don't be that guy" brief at PLDC. Go stay there and keep your heads down. But he came out of the skiff. At the time in the 90s, there was really only one place in the entire battalion that had open access to secret classified information, whatever. And it was like secure fax machines and teletypes and all kinds of funky stuff before computers. And the skiff was located behind battalion headquarters. And the sergeant major came out of the skiff and he made a comment to us that there had been something that had gone terribly wrong, that a convoy over in Somalia with our brothers in 3rd Battalion, and we knew that they were over there. It was a big deal. We were covering all the previous missions they'd done and everything that had been on CNN. I mean, it was a big deal, and we were all jealous and pissed off that 3rd Battalion was over there. But the sergeant major said, hey, there was an ambush on a convoy last night. All the details are sketchy, whatever, but it looks like several Rangers were killed, and that's all he had for us. So we went off to PLDC without any information, and PLDC, the NCO Academy at Fort Stewart, is a sequestered compound, like a prison camp, out in the middle of the woods, like 17 miles away from main post, just out in the middle of the pine trees. And there's nothing out there but the NCO Academy. And we kind of lost track of what was happening. I actually found out the names of my buddies that were killed because one of the Pogues brought their sponsor. When you went to a WLC, you had a sponsor, and their job, like visitation in a prison, was to come bring you stuff that you needed. So Fort Stewart, 17 miles away, Hunt Army Airfield, where the Rangers were stationed, hour and a half drive away. And so these Pogues were getting like starched uniforms and shined boots and things like that delivered to them, snacks and newspapers and whatever they wanted. Their sponsor's job was to basically be their bitch and go out there and bring them stuff. And Rangers knew that we didn't have sponsors. Everybody in the battalion was pretty much disgusted that we weren't there training, and it was one of those necessary evils. And it was one of these, hey man, if you can't pack everything you need for a 30-day course, don't forget anything, pay attention to detail, go away, and don't bug this Ranger battalion with your personal promotion problems. You'll probably be better off. And so you never saw Rangers getting visitors and things like that at PLDC. So anyway, the Pogues brought a copy of Army Times, and it was on the front cover of the Army Times, and we opened it up, and I remember Corky, Kloppenstein, and a couple other guys. There's like 5 or 6 Rangers in my PLDC class. I called everybody over and opened the thing up, and I read the article out loud, and we all started crying. One of the dudes got killed was my Ranger buddy in Ranger School for Desert Phase. We got split after that. When they readjusted the platoons, Desert Phase was the second phase when I went through. And he was from El Paso, Lorenzo Ruiz. And we'd be out at McGregor Range during Desert Phase, and we'd dig in the machine gun firing positions at the apexes of the patrol base on top of these gigantic mesquite mounds that grew out of the desert floor, and they allowed for over getting off the ground and giving a little bit of long range view. So we would get out our e-tools and we would chop through these mesquite and literally channel a path on the backside of the mesquite mound, and then chip out a shallow grave fighting position and a platform to put the machine gun tripod, and we'd mount the gun up on top of the hill. And all the other hasty fighting positions were all based around the base of these mesquite mounds. The machine guns were the only ones that had to actually dig into them, and they're like a gigantic thorn bush. So Ruiz and I, we'd be up in the 60 pit, and he'd get the binos out and he would glass the skylight. You could see the skylight of El Paso, and this is way before it turned into Juarez North. El Paso was actually really, really safe back then in the early 90s. And he'd say stupid shit. I mean, McGregor Range is way out there in the desert. He would say dumb shit like, "I think I could see the golden arches of the McDonald's by my house," like really kind of just silly homesick shit that people say. So when I read Rue's name in the Army Times, it was kind of a kick in the chest, you know. So I didn't really get the full story. Obviously, we read everything. What made it really stressful for us also was that Haiti had reared its ugly head for the first time. Uh, President Clinton almost launched uh, a, a military action into Haiti in late '93, and he ended up uh, backing down from that and decided to go with the deliberate invasion like Panama and the invasion of Grenada, Just Cause or Urgent Fury, excuse me. So after the stand down for military action 1.0, then we went into deliberate planning and rehearsals for um, invasion of Haiti, which would take place in 1994. But how that affected us in PLDC was the Pogues that drove us around in their trucks. Their sponsors stopped coming out because their sponsors were locked down and in support of Ranger military troop buildup and inevitable deployment. And so the word got back to us through the Pogue truck driver network. Uh, hey man, what's up with your fucking Rangers making my guys work this weekend or whatever? I was like, dude, I haven't talked to anybody since I left my unit. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And they were like, yeah, man, my boy has been stuck out on Hunt Army Airfield all weekend. He said your guys are locked down out at the airfield and they're uploading ammo from the ASP. And I was like, well, it's fucking hands across Mogadishu time. They're dropping the whole fucking regiment into the Moog, and they're gonna kill every motherfucker in that city. I mean, what else could it be? We hadn't been to war since Panama, other than a company battalion minus company plus package for Desert Storm, and we just had 6 Rangers killed in Somalia, and now my whole Ranger battalion is locked down on the airfield getting live ammo. Yeah, of course it's going to be Somalia. It wasn't Somalia. It was fucking Haiti. And when I found out about that a month later, I was like, Haiti? Who gives a fuck about Haiti? It's kind of interesting how much you don't know when you're young, when you're young and you're low enlisted or whatever. But we really, really freaked out about that because we were stuck out there with no comms. This is before cell phones; they had pay phones, and we called, and all of our company telephones were off the hook. They had cut the lines, shut off the phones, and the only phone number in the entire battalion that worked was the battalion staff duty, and the dude like wouldn't even talk to us on the phone. We'd be like, "Hey, we need to talk to somebody," and they're like, "Yeah, no, you can't talk to anybody." We're like, "Hey, we're out here, and like, we need stuff. We need somebody to call us. Have the battalion sergeant major have somebody call us because as part of the alert process, they make the decision whether or not they're going to pull guys from schools. This is pre 9/11 shit. This is like, quick reaction crap that we did back in the 80s and 90s. So, you had to know, and it varied. It was basically up to the commander and the sergeant major whether they wanted to recall from schools, and most of the time they would not recall from schools due to the OPSEC spike if they pulled guys out of courses. Uh, we dealt with the same thing in other schools. There were um, war stories that we had heard about guys that were over at RTB during the invasion of Panama that bailed and went back, like left Ranger School and went and jumped into Panama. And then when they came back from Panama, they reported back to Ranger School and they were like, "Hey, I know we were AWOL, but like we jumped into Panama and shit. Hook a brother up and do him a solid." And they recycled them, inserted them back into Ranger School after they had gone AWOL. So we tried to make a break for it, but like I said, it was a 17-mile hump to get back to main post, and then we were going to get a taxi from there. But a bunch of the NCO Academy cadre, they all lived on the compound, and we basically got caught rucking off of the PLDC compound, trying to get back to the Ranger unit because based off the information we had heard, they were going to war, and we were not going to go to war without them, regardless of the consequences. So we ended up getting caught and got sent back. And I got out of PLDC in early November, and the battalion had stood down from the invasion of Haiti, and they had a deployment to Bright Star, which was Egypt. So the battalion was going to Egypt, but I had just gotten back, and they said something about blah blah blah, take care of your family, blah blah blah. They left me behind on rear detachment, and so I'm on rear D, uh, and the battalion's gone, and some fucking kid from our battalion quits Ranger School. So we get a call down from regiment. Hey, one of your guys quit Ranger School. You need to send somebody down here to pick him up and bring him back so he can get fucking fired. So I get, hey, uh, Specialist Pressburg, go get a TMP pickup and drive to Fort Benning today and go pick up Ranger shitbag. So I drove down there and I showed up at Ranger School, and they said, "Hey man, we're not done out processing them yet. Come back this afternoon." So I had like 4 hours to kill, and I went over. It's about a year and a half after Ranger School. So I went over to regimental headquarters, and each class had a pre-Ranger class plaque. So I went over to my pre-Ranger class, and at the time, 3rd Ranger Battalion had a policy where they would giving all of the Ranger School slots to a single rifle company. They were attempting to, through cohesion, keep guys from quitting. It was an experiment. So in January, Alpha Company got all the slots, except for like the one token HHC guy. And in February, Bravo Company got all the slots. Well, I went to pre-Ranger and Ranger School with a Bravo Company 3rd Ranger Battalion rotation. So I had 10 BCO 375 Rangers in my pre-Ranger class a year and a half prior. And so I wrote all of their names down. I remembered most of the guys, but I wrote all their names down, and then I walked over to 3rd Ranger Battalion and went to the CQ desk at Bravo Company. And the company had just gotten back from block leave after the deployment. And some of their guys were still gone on convalescent leave, and some of the guys were still in the hospital, the ones that were the most gravely wounded. And so I linked up with a Ranger buddy of mine. I walked up to the CQ and I said, "Hey, look, I'm Specialist Pressburg from First Bat." He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I was like, I'm in town to pick up a Ranger School quitter, but I know a bunch of BCO guys. Um, is everybody here? And they're like, yeah, we all just got back from leave. I mean, there's a couple dudes that are gone, still at the hospital and shit. And I was like, okay. So I just started going down the list. And like the first or second name on the list is a good buddy of mine. And he's like, oh, yeah, man, he's upstairs. So he calls and, hey, Rob, come on down. So Rob comes down. Rob had been on the combat search and rescue team that had fast roped into the first crash site. And he had gotten fragged with an RPG pretty bad. He still had gauze all over his legs and everything. And so Rob took me around, and I just spent all afternoon in the barracks with these guys that had been in this gunfight a month earlier and just listened to their stories and got the whole timeline, but from the perspective of like 30 or 40 different dudes that I spoke to. I ended up leaving that quitter there at Ranger School till like 5 or 6, and then picked him up and drove until like before midnight or something to get back home. I would give anything to have a tape recorder, yeah, to have a tape recorder back then and have recorded those accounts, those firsthand accounts of guys from the Battle of the Black Sea. It was really, really powerful stuff, and I had a lot of questions, like combat war related questions. A lot of it having to do with gear. So I was asking them, how much water did you carry? Did you have any issues in the urban environment with the Mark 19 rounds not arming at minimum safe distance? And they had answers for everything that I was saying. How did the M60s and the saws hold up? Did you bring any lube? Stuff like that. And the answers that I got sometimes weren't what I expected, and sometimes they weren't good answers, but they were answers. And then a lot of them came in the form of an anecdote. Like, yeah, man, after we shot through our first full basic load through the machine guns and they dropped in the first resupply of ammo, the guns were all up over 1,000 rounds through them. And we were out of lube. Nobody had any lube. And uh, you know, Sergeant Lamb ran out in the street with a wounded guy's Kevlar helmet, and he rolled over up under a parked car and shot the oil pan with his Car 15, and then put this wounded Ranger's K-pot under the car and did an oil change and like drained the oil pan out that he had shot a hole in, and then ran around with the chin strap of the helmet like a bucket, and he poured the motor oil from the parked car into the open feed tray cover of all these machine gunners and saw gunners everywhere, and they worked the bolt back and forth a couple times using the charging handle and slapped the belt back in there, and the guns all started working again, and I think about that, 25 years ago, a dude who was not Sergeant Lamb, although I ended up working for Sergeant Lamb later, told me this anecdotal story about them being out of oil and there being cars, parked derelict, whatever on the streets. And this NCO saying, "Hey, I'm going out in the street to get some oil, cover me," and coming back with a fucking wounded soldier's helmet full of nasty 30 weight or whatever. So I sat through about 4, 5, almost 6 hours of stories just like that. Uh, it was pretty powerful, pretty powerful stuff. And when I left that day, they had just had their battalion memorial service. And they had a stack of these that were these programs from their memorial service that were left over. And on the way out the door, I snagged one, and I've held on to this thing for 25 years. And my Task Force Ranger print is it's kind of new. A buddy of mine saw one in an art gallery and said, "Hey man, they've got a Dietz Task Force Ranger print for sale here." And I was like, "Buy it, buy it. I don't care how much it costs. Buy that fucker." And so I've had that less than 10 years, but I've had this for 25, and I can't say I pulled it out every single year because due to PCS moves and being overseas and shit like that, it would get lost in a crate in a storage locker or whatever, and it would find its way back to me eventually. So, yeah. So anyway, that's what October 3rd. That's what October 3rd meant to me initially, and then later on, because of the closeness of the community, I ended up working with a lot of those guys in various capacities, in various units, in various places, and sorry, I'm flying in the morning and my kids are blowing my fucking phone up. So yeah, I ended up serving with a lot of them guys later on, and it was always a good opportunity for me to talk to those dudes and to open up my repertoire of firsthand accounts and stories. A dude that I did not meet initially was the fire support officer for the company. He was wounded very badly, and he ended up in Walter Reed. And I met him years later when I was in asymmetric warfare group. For any of you guys that are listening that are old school light fighters, if you remember Travis Patriquin, who's a big guy on Light Fighter, he became famous for the How to Win in Anbar PowerPoint that was released in 2006. If you look him up on Google, you'll see who Travis is. Anyway, Jim Lechner was Travis Patriquin's boss. He was the deputy commanding officer of 1st Brigade of 1st Armor Division. And I supported those guys when I was an AWG advisor. And so I got to spend a lot of time with Jim, who was no longer a captain fire support officer. You know, obviously, like he had been back 13 years prior. He was a lieutenant colonel deputy commander. Um, so Jim and I had quite a few conversations about that day and stuff like that. So, like I said, it's hard to believe it was a quarter century ago. 5 years ago, we separated the 20th anniversary. We did a really, really big 20th year commemoration, and I was part of the planning and everything for that. It was still when I was in the military, and I can't believe that was 5 years ago. Like I feel like I planned that gig like last year sometime. So time is time is all relative, I guess. So can't stay on here forever, but uh, just wanted to give you guys a little shout out, a little update. Um, Show you guys some little thing I've been working on. If you guys, any of you guys, you know, following the Facebook page, you know that I got my Nighthawk Shadowhawk from my FFL this weekend before No Fail Pistol, which went really well. I didn't use this for No Fail Pistol, obviously, because it's not good juju to switch guns like that and then get in front of students. There's just way too many things that can go wrong, especially for me going from a striker fired pistol to a single action pistol, going from a gun with no manual safety to a gun with a manual safety, and going from a gun that has a forward grip angle to a straight up and down grip angle would have probably hindered my performance during no fail pistol for all the demonstrations that I had to do in front of the guys, and definitely, still bring it for the students. I'm getting older and I'm slower and I'm retired, uh, and so I'm not as fast as I used to be. But that being said, I ain't bad. Uh, I've run three no fail pistols and had one student that could outscore me on a couple of the drills. So, I'm still bringing it, but I need to continue to still be able to bring it. And switching a gun, taking the chance of throwing shots because my natural point of aim is off because I'm throwing this, whatever. But I did zero it. I had some time while the students were doing slow fire shit. Uh, I did get it zeroed up. It's a tack driver, but I didn't have a holster for it. I brought a holster that I thought would work with it or could work with it, but I had not modified it or anything. So, anyway, Misha, it's your brother. Stop. Um, so I was keeping this in my dump pouch while I was zeroing it or whatever. I just unload it and throw it in my dump pouch. But I brought this unicorn holster I had that I found when I ordered this gun 9 months ago. And this is a holster body for a Safariland 6004. It's got the MLS on the back. But this is a 6004 SLS for a Springfield operator with X400 Surefire laser in fabric wrapped FDE. This, if there's ever been a unicorn holster, this is it. So I brought it with me, and today I took a Dremel tool using the old cutting wheel, and it's an X300, but like a glove, So now I've got a holster that'll work. There's not a lot of extra room under that hood, like not a lot at all. If I index that pistol and apply any rearward force to work that thumb, it binds up. I've got to come down straight on that gun and get that SLS hood out of the way before I wrap my fingers around that pistol and get out. So that draw stroke's going to take a little bit because I have not used an SLS in about 10 years. But I think with a few dry fires in this thing, it will be fine. I will have no issues whatsoever. So pretty excited about that. I found I'm back at my safe house on the East Coast, so I find stuff that is here that I didn't know I still had or whatever. This is one of the old 6004 black leg straps. I found that, and this is a Raid, a warrant belt that I had when I was still volunteering to help out the police, and it's a Blue Alpha. So this UBL here, I'm going to run that black leg strap, so I've got a matching leg strap right through the side. So that'll be pretty cool. And then I put Blue Force Gear 10-speed pistol pouches on there. They'll be able to take the new STI mags for the Nighthawk. I've got like 6 black extended 170s for this thing also. So like 22 rounds of 9mm. So I'm pretty excited. I quit shooting 1911s back in like 2000, somewhere between 2008 2010, and focused on shooting all Glock. And now that I'm retired, I can shoot whatever I want. And I'll tell you, part of me wishes there's a Hulu commercial that's on right now that says, "Don't ever fly first class. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do that, because it'll spoil you and you'll never want to go back." Well, Hulu could probably add, "Don't ever shoot a double stack 1911 with a Glock with a red dot on it if you're a Glock shooter," because the ease at which I just threw 100 points up on the board on 25-meter slope fire, like wasn't even hard. Just fucking off. Just, yeah, whatever. Go down range. Oh, look, it's 100 4x. I have no doubt that within the next month or so, I'm going to put a 107 or a 108x B8 up on social media with this GAT. This thing's just a freaking tack driver, and it's so easy to shoot, and that's the big thing. They're just so easy to shoot. I just hope this thing goes bang. You know what I mean? It's always an issue. Always an issue with 1911s. Is it actually going to work? So we'll see. We will see. This will not be the last 1911 that you guys see me double stack, that you guys see me messing with. Not by a shot. So, but going to continue to be real. Got next 2 open enrollment classes are night vision. I tell you guys, today I locked in Jared Reston's department, county sheriffs, has agreed to let me use their shoot house to host a class. So mark it on your calendars. December 14th, 15th, I'm doing a 3-day shoot house course. That'll be for LE military and then former LE or military. Uh, you know, concealed carry, uh, background vetting, all that stuff for non government types. So we're not teaching criminals what's what, but that'll be a good time. I've already got some assistant instructors lined up that are similar or the same pedigree, so it's going to be a multi-instructor course. A lot of good one-on-one feedback. Got UTM lined up, so guys will be able to. UTM rep will be there to um, sell the UTM and provide bolts and uh, sim pistols and stuff like that for the course. So should be a good time. Did I get fissured? No, not really. I know Fisher just prefers, you know, and I did too. I hated Glocks, hated them. Uh, they took my man guns away, kicking and screaming. But at the end of the day, you know, once I was ordered to shoot a striker fired pistol, then I had to shoot a striker fired pistol. And to me, these guys that can pick up any gun and immediately point it and shoot it well are amazing people. I am constantly trying to master the human machine interface, and I think that the the void or the gap between striker fired and single action and grip angles is a huge one. And if I shoot a lot of Glock, I can't point a 2011 or 1911 properly. And if I shoot a lot of 19 or 2011, well, as soon as I pull my Glock out, it's just not naturally sights lined up. And I have to stop, pause, and adjust. Or if I'm firing off natural point of aim, I get radical impact shift because I'm presenting the gun at a different grip angle. So, uh, am I using a standard or small radius firing pin stop on the Nighthawk? I don't know. I have no idea. I ordered a Shadowhawk. I told them I wanted a flat trigger. I wanted no ambi. That was actually a mix-up from my small Nighthawk that I said I wanted no ambi on for concealment carry, and told them to put excuse me, an RMR plate on it. So that's that. So that's that is all I got. That is not the last 1911 that I'm having done. I got other stuff going on. Just like I got Glock stuff going on. Just like I got CZ stuff going on. No fail pistol. Look for April class date to pop up back in Oklahoma where I just did one. I'll be going back there in April. I'll be going to Oklahoma for a night vision course in November of next year. I still have slots to night vision course in Phoenix, and I think you'll have to check with Shockey. I think there are slots open to my night vision course at the ranch in Texas in December as well. So as of right now, unless I'm missing something, I've only got 2 more classes, open enrollment classes scheduled between now and SHOT Show. So my February, March, and April are going to start filling up here shortly once the ranges start reaching out for me or whatever. Have I received any interest in a Detroit area class? No, Fisher said he was going to host me up in Michigan. He's got a range by him, and he was going to host me up there next year. So I'm going to get up there. So, yeah. I'm going to do one in Seattle next year. So I'm going to try to do 20 open enrollment classes in 19. It's just all a matter of when I can, it's just simple matter of hosting. If the hosts reach out to me, if the dates line up, that's great. If I don't have ranges to train at, then I can't train. I will shoot every weekend. I don't care. As long as the students are there, I will book 4 classes a month in different parts of the country if the students will be there. But if the students aren't going to be there, or I can't find ranges or hosts that can get me lined up, then it's not going to happen. So um, I'm going to do at least 2 California next year, at least 2, because I'm going to be in Cali for about 8 weeks in the summer. And normally I don't train during the summer, but it's California, so it's mild, and I'm going to be there anyway, undergoing medical treatment. So I will have weekends off. So I'm going to try to do a San Diego, a Los Angeles area, and a San Francisco Bay Area no fail pistol on 3 different weekends during June and July of 19 as well. How are the Silinks holding up? My first pair or my second pair? My first pair died. I ordered another pair and I've used them a little bit, but I just don't trust them. When I'm talking to students and they shut off, and then I reach down and I hit the button and they don't immediately turn back on, like it really, really bothers me much more than Peltors. When I'm talking with Peltors on and I get the beep, 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 I just reach up, I hit the volume button one time, and they're good for like 3 more hours. The Silinks, it just seemed like, and I don't think they have an auto shut off feature, uh, but if they do, it doesn't have any type of audible tone or anything to tell you. So Prewex for no fail pistol. Yeah, don't suck. Uh, you should probably be able to shoot um, close to 90 on a 25-yard slow fire to come to that course. You should also understand range etiquette. You should have a firm grasp of the 4 safety rules. You should be able to apply grip stance, trigger control, reloads. Like you basically should have already attended somebody else's pistol course before you come to no fail pistol, because I am choosing to use the time that I have with you to talk about cognitive processing and decision making and how that pertains to accuracy. And I'm not teaching basic pistol fundamentals. I touch on basic pistol fundamentals while we are doing it or as I see people jacking it up. But there's no time in the course to say, this is what a proper stance looks like. This is how your hand placement should be. These are indicators of proper grip. Like that, there's just none of that. There is, hey, load up your fucking guns, shoot those targets over there, and it's very, it's different. It's just different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just different. And so because it is not as rigid, I can go way more in depth to the practical application of fundamentals rather than instructing fundamentals. So that's what's up. Neil at Gun Gallery. See, so Florida is kind of weird because there's a lot of ranges and a lot of dudes are throwing ranges at me, and I don't know. I don't have a spatial awareness of whatever. I know that Neil said that he wanted to get me on the calendar for 2019, but I got uh, um, Mocha Bear. He's having me down at Homestead. I've got a crew out of Miami that wants me down there. So I just have to make sure that I'm either alternating the course content or alternating the calendar time or alternating the distances or a combination of all of them. So um, yeah, so that's that. Just keep watching the ODS site. The menus and everything are about to change. Instead of separate items for every class, it's now going to go to all the classes by type. So when you click on the no fail pistol, there will be a drop down menu that will show you all the classes and dates that I have currently set up for no fail pistol. If it's night vision rifle, you're going to go over to night vision rifle, you're going to click on it, and the drop down is going to come down there. I don't know how long that's going to take for the website rebuild to happen, but the calendar's already updated. I already got both of the Oklahoma dates on the training calendar that you can access from the ODS website. So Mocha Bears Homestead night vision class, or is that a no fail pistol? I can't remember. But my Homestead Florida class, it's on there, even though I don't have it populated for sale yet. It's on the calendar. Check my calendar. Homestead ain't till March. So I've got a closed night vision course in St. Augustine, guys, but that is a private class in March also. And then I've got Homestead, and Homestead is it's a 2 day, 2 nights. That's a night vision class. All right. So yeah, I guess I've got night vision in Shockies in December and night vision in Phoenix in November. And then everything else, and then that shoot house class 14, 15, 16 December. That's it till the end of the year. Everything else I'm doing is closed enrollment LE. So I am done with open enrollment. That sucks because I still got some space open in December. I could well. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm not turning anybody away. If anybody wants to host, they just got to get with me, and if the dates work out, that's fine. You know, if they don't work out in the first quarter, then I need to get fall booked as far out as possible. I owe it to you guys, the students, to have predictability so that you have time to save up and ask for time off and all that. And I think that's the difference between having these half full classes and having full classes is having that predictability. All these other instructors, they all have some history built in with their host community. If a class goes off well in 2018, they're going to come back to that same range in 2019. And because I'm just starting out, I'm still looking for first time hosts. And some of those classes are going to work. Some of the Rangers are going to work. some of those areas are not going to work, and I'm not going to go back there. They're not going to invite me back there. So it's still going to be a work in progress. Um, so it just is what it is. Uh, all right, fellas, I need to jump off of here. My son stopped by to say goodbye before I head out tomorrow. Um, I'll be up in Chicago through the weekend, and then Fisher and I are going to do some closed enrollment LE work together the following week. So you guys might see some stuff on social media with Steve and I. What kind of things do I look for in a range? Flat's good. Seriously, I don't care if it's got a berm. Target stands. If I can conduct training the way that I am used to conducting training. So for North Bow Pistol, that's 25 yards wide with enough room for guys to shoot and not throw brass on each other. It can take stands environmentally. It isn't so fucking windy that there's no way to secure the stands and the targets are blowing over every 5 seconds or whatever. The ability to secure, IPSC targets and B8s, and that's it. Bathroom is obviously a plus, but it's not a requirement. Um, 10-minute drive from my hotel, that'd be great. Not a requirement. So there's a lot of nice to have stuff, but at the end of the day, I need students more than I need sexy ranges that have individual walkways and all this other bullshit. It could be the best range in the world. If nobody wants to drive there or travel there, and there's not a solid base, that host of that range is not tied into the gun community and can't bring people that don't know who I am to a range, then I got nothing. That's what the host does for the instructor. Is he goes to his local area and finds people that are into guns but just don't know what they don't know about instructors, and they convince them through sending them to my YouTube channel, showing them videos, whatever. They convince them, hey, this guy's the real deal. He's coming into this area. Trust me, you need to give him a chance. That's what a host does. If I am the dude that's bringing all of, if it's my milkshake that has to bring all the boys to the yard, then it's the same. I have the same fan base. It's national. So guys are just going to be like, nope, I'll wait till he comes into my part of the country. So these hosts, although it's nice that somebody's like, dude, I got you. We'll do this, we'll do that, whatever. There has to be a reasonable assurance that the host is going to bring some students to enroll, because my social media presence, frankly, is just not growing fast enough, and I don't care, because this is it. This is all you're getting out of me. I am not going to sell my soul, any worse than I already am. It's signing on and doing social media stuff is already very, very difficult for me to do. As far as like self promotion and marketing, obviously I've been on the internet for a long time, but that's about contributing information and content that helps people. That's not about, look at me, I'm a cool guy and you need to pay me money to come shoot guns with me or whatever. Like that self promotion aspect of the social media machine is not what I'm about, and I don't enjoy it. So until enough people have taken No Fail Pistol and all gone back to their corners of the internet and said that class is the real fucking deal, you owe it to yourself to take that class. The classes aren't going to fill without a little bit of extra help from you guys, So Benjamin Lewis, you're currently in Chicago. Well, I was just there and I'm going back. I'm going to be in the city on Saturday. I'm flying my son up, letting him take 2 days off from school. I'm going to take him to the Museum of Science and Industry. Obviously, growing up in Chicago, the museums were very, very special to me. My mom did not have a lot of money. So, as a single mom, when she was off, taking me on the L downtown and paying a $10 flat rate or whatever and letting me run all over the museums was a very uh, memorable part of my childhood. So I want to share that experience with my 11-year-old while he's still young enough to really enjoy it before it gets too boring and he becomes a teenager and doesn't care. So obviously, we're only going to be able to hit the one museum. Museum of Science Industry is my favorite. He's only going to be able to hit one this trip, but I will bring my son back to Chicago at some other time and have him hit the planetarium, the Shedd Aquarium, and the Field Museum of Natural History as well. All of those are on the bucket list to do with my son. Before he turns 15 or 16. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. Um, who should I seek an initial pistol course from? I do not have rental night vision goggles. I do have limited number of lasers available. If you let me know ahead of time, and I can coordinate for it. But I currently do not have a night vision sponsor that allows for loaner units. Um, it is what it is, man. So, uh, pistol classes. A lot of dudes teach pistol well. Jared Reston, Blowers, uh, Brokos, uh, Pat Mack, Shrek. I mean, all those dudes are good, good pistol instructors, and they're all going to give you a different flavor on the fundamentals. Noner, um, all them dudes, they're all solid cats. Uh, and even some of the unknown dudes, man, there's a lot of diamonds in the rough with these regional instructors. There's a lot of regional instructors that are putting out good material. And then there are regional instructors that are regurgitating material and they don't have a solid experience base or foundation. And so they're just repeating things like whatever mantras, whatever they were taught, and they think that their charismatic, that their natural skill with the firearm and their charisma is a recipe for success in a business model. And those are the ones that you have to watch out because they're mimics. Uh, and so you don't want to take a class from a trained monkey. Um, so buyer beware. But yeah, any of your top guys or whatever, just look on the internet. If there's dudes that I hang out with, there's dudes that I do joint classes with, shit like that, then obviously I think the guy's a solid dude. If they're a dude that you don't ever hear me mention their name, I either don't know them or I do know them. So, but I'm not the internet moral compass. I'm not the internet police. I'm not the internet background investigation agency for this industry. So I'm just letting everybody do them. And I'm going to do me over here. And I guarantee you, eventually, dudes are going to see the light. And I'm going to have more business than I know what to do with. Because I know that um, I've figured out a way, and it hasn't figured it out. I present the material in such a way that for whatever reason people pick up on it, and it's not material that's really being put out any radically different, and it's certainly not different material than what you're going to hear from other guys. I have an approach to putting the information out that has been well received. That's all I'm going to say. It's nothing special. I'm not going to tell you that, I've done exhaustive research and I've got 29,000 white papers saying that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at all this 25-year research on hostage rescue shootings and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, we're going to shoot some guns and I'm going to hold you to an accountability standard. And we're going to talk about why it's important. And you're going to cognitively start to be able to pick up and call your shots. And by the time you leave the course, you're going to be able to, at any given time, by diagnosing your sights, determine whether or not you should fire your gun or not. It's that simple. So, anyway, talk to you guys later.